Did you ever have the thought of like, man, I should just hedge right now?
Quit
Quit while I'm ahead. I don't want to go to prison. I got millions and millions of dollars in these safes.
Man, you know how many times I've been asked that question. But, honestly, it never occurred to me to quit, because first of all,
clearly you weren't doing it you had enough money to last for the rest of your life.
Dude, the money after a while was a pain in the dick.
Right.
It was more about getting away with it, than it was, getting paid, because Christ, there was this period of time when I'm getting paid, I'm getting bags of money shoved across the kitchen table at me for jobs I don't even remember doing. This job happened like 4 weeks ago. Here's another one. This one was that one. This one was that one. And then I got a stack of bags of money that I don't remember doing.
So what was the motivation then? Like, what was the best part about it?
The thrill.
Just the thrill of it. Just not getting caught.
The camaraderie of it, Yeah. We're all kids, man.
Right.
And we're running the fucking show.
Yeah, you're in your early 20s. You're not even fully fucking, your brain's not fully developed.
Just
as they
babies.
Say.
Right. I'm sitting here 63 years old and I'm thinking, wow, 20 years old, and I'm thinking, when I think about some of the shit that I did, my ass goes, you could cut a cigar with that fucker, man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But this is just how we grew up. This is all we knew as kids. We only knew multi-ton fucking loads. I dumped more shit out of my fishing boots than any three guys can smoke probably in their lifetime. That's just how stupid it was. And I say that because, let me give you a little bit of a history here from beginning. In the beginning, when we first started hauling bales off of these boats, they were just, coming apart. They weren't even packed. They weren't compressed. The compressed bales hadn't come along yet. This is in the late 70s, early 80s.
Just loose bags?
Dude, they were like taking the shit in heavy mill plastic, stuffing it with their foot, seemed like, and then duct tape that shut, stick it in a burlap bag, and then stitch that shut, throw it in a pile. They were irregular. They were elongated. They were small. They were big. They're 30 pounds. 110 pounds one of these fucking things was. It was like a big torpedo. There was no rhyme, no reason to it. It was just pack it and get it the shit out of here kind of thing. Well, when we take this shit off the mothership, we're responsible for that fucking load. That's our deal. That's why we get paid the big bucks. I've been paid as much as $125,000 a night just to bring a load in. And I'm only working 7 hours, But the thing of it is once that shit comes ashore and it gets off our boat, we've got to clean that fucking boat, man. And we're taking hours with knives and screwdrivers and little cracks and shit, because this shit in Colombian weed in those days was seedy. There was seeds pouring out of this shit. And we're unloading boats where we have to sometimes get down inside the boat and help the crew, because these freighters, like the hole's way up the fuck up here.
Yeah. You
got to build a pyramid of bales to stand on to get the shit up, and it's falling apart, and it looks like, you look like a goddamn McDonald's Happy Meal with your Mac. Fucking C's on your face and shit. It's just comical.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the best bongs in the business. With Freeze Pipe's freezable glycerin coils, you will enjoy colder, bigger hits without the throat burning or intense coughing. Check out Freeze Pipe's entire line of unique pipes, bubblers, bongs, and dab rigs at thefreezepipe.com and use the code CONCRETE to save 10% off your first order. That's thefreezepipe.com and use the code KONCRETE.
So, this goes on, and we finally got to the point where, we take a roll of visqueen, a roll of plastic, and some duct tape, and on our way out, sun's going down, we radio our call sign, we're headed to the boat, put this visqueen out and duct tape it all down and make a big bowl out of the back of the boat.
There you go, yeah.
So when they throw this shit in there, we get back home, we can unload the shit, go offshore, pull all this plastic into a ball, tie a chain and an anchor to it, and throw it off the boat.
So smart, man. Like painters when they put a drop cloth down.
Fucking right. Because if anything becomes suspicious during the evening, and they're out there running around looking at boats, and they're boarding boats. If they find a seed on your boat, you're fucked.
Wow.
They'll take your boat. It's as simple as that. So we get together and we're thinking, okay, this is the early 80s when the advent of the commercial and the household trash compactors first started coming on the commercials and into the scene. So a couple of the third and first and second generations get this light bulb goes on, and they say, well, why don't we take about a dozen of these fucking things and a few generators down there and show them how to do this, you know? That's how a bale of pot looks like a bale of pot now.
Really?
Because of our guys went down to Colombia and said, we can't be responsible for your bullshit anymore.
Right.
You either get your shit.
It's not their problem. It's your problem.
It's us.
Right.
Because it's our asses. It's on our boat. They're not going to prison for this fucking shit.
That's how the advent of the square grouper came about.
When you look at a bale of pot today, it looks that way because our older generation made them look that way.
That's insane, man.
And that's the God's gospel truth, man. You can hate on me all you want, but that's, I'm not sitting here telling lies because I like to. That's just the way it was because we were responsible. So, having said that, now they're more consistent. They're easier to handle. They stack better. So now what happens? The loads get bigger because they're not these god-awful fucking pieces of shit anymore, So now they're stackable. And our boats designed to haul crab traps are perfectly designed to haul bales of pot. So they're stacking in there really nice, man. And now we got some, and we were stacking them in there to a point where sometimes the boat would That's what they look like right there, yeah. Sometimes the boat was, you're pitching and rolling on the
like Legos.
Yeah, they're pitching and rolling on the seas a little bit, and some will fall off and shit like that. Hence, square grouper. That's how they get the name, square grouper. Nobody really knows today who first came up with it, but I know it came out of Everglades City because where the fuck else would it come out of?
Right.
And I don't, I don't go on telling these stories like we were the only ones that ever did it. We didn't invent hauling pot. We weren't the only ones that ever hauled a bale of pot. I never said that, and I would never take anything away from anybody that has ever done it because man, it takes balls.
Yeah.
Go to another country to people you don't know, load your boat, bring it back, and get away with it. They were pot haulers all over the place. What my story is designed to do is to help you understand the history of it all, and how a small town in Southwest Florida can be the hub of the marijuana industry throughout North America, and nobody know a fucking thing about it.
Yeah. A
little 500, 600 person town is responsible for the bulk of the weed coming into this country.
That's so funny.
It's
it's wild.
And I felt the story needed to be told because what prompted me really was I saw Billy Corbin's Square Grouper.
Yeah.
And it was, I like his style. I like the way he does the animations, and he's really good at production when it comes to that sort of thing. But the actual telling of the story, in my opinion, he missed the greatest story ever to be told. He talked about the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church out of Jamaica, who set up an operation in a mansion on Star Island in Biscayne Bay in Miami.
Right.
We hauled millions of shit to that island for them.
Really?
Yeah. And there was another group of guys at that time. This guy's he's a funny fucker. His name was Robert Flathorn. He was they called him the Black Tuna Gang because everybody in the group had a gold pendant made of a tuna. So if you're part of that clique, you had a tuna, black tuna, but whatever. They got into pot hauling back when President Carter was making quasi moves toward legalization and bringing that on. So they figured they're going to blaze the trail. They're going to go to Colombia, figure it out. They even used a High Times magazine. I don't know if you're familiar with High Times.
Oh yeah, of course.
They used to give you the pot prices in the magazine. They were using that to figure out what their prices would be. So they set up headquarters in the Fountain Blue Hotel in downtown Miami in a penthouse suite. And
South Beach, right?
South Beach. Their claim to fame was like £500,000 or some shit like that. Zions, the Coptics, their claim to fame was like 1 million pounds of weed moved in and shit like this. I got a hold, and I first heard George Young's story about him flying Mexican weed into the country and this and that, and his association with a guy named Diego in the movie, who in real life was Carlos Slater. That was who they're portraying.
Right.
And another guy who I happened to find a phone number on the internet for just out of the blue, his name was Brian O'Day, and he wrote a book called High, Life of an International Drug Smuggler. His claim to fame was about 500,000 pounds of Asian weed that he brought into the Gulf of Alaska, processed it on a fishing vessel, put it in boxes and froze it, and brought it to the docks in Washington just like it was the regular catch. And he would have a box of actual frozen fish sitting around with one of his guys every now and then would bump one like that, and they just spill across the deck and be fish everywhere. So, that's fish.
Right.
It's not weed going into that truck. Well, I'd taken these guys' claim to fame, the Zions, the Tuna Gang, George Young, and Brian O'Day, and I put all their shit in a pile, and I said, fuck, that's not even a year's work for us, man.